the arena. Nana Kwabena Brown. Nana?
Yes, yes, it's my honor and privilege to be with you all today and to have the honor of pouring libation for you. Okay, when I say Ago, that means everybody ready? Your response is Ame. I'll raise this up to God Almighty. Okay. Ago.
Amen.
Ago, Ago, Ago.
Amen.
Amen.
Yon Kwame Shakur Sa. Asase Sa, Mother Earth. Asase Afua Sa, Mother Earth. We call you, we call you, call you, we call you Ma'at. She who governs and rules the universe in justice and balance. We call Elegba, he who opens up the doors. We call all the Holy Spirits which God has given us to manage our lives and have peace. We call you as the holiday season has begun. We pray upon this organization and all of its members and all of its students and all of its teachers and the head of it, Baba Kokai, that we shall have strength and peace coming into the new year. And that we think of the events that are coming up as holy days for us to pray for Reverend Warnock down in Georgia, wherever our people are fighting for democracy and freedom and justice, that they be supported. We call you, Almighty God, to support those of us, support our brother soldiers and our sister soldiers who are out there. And at this time of the year, for this particular holiday, we give honor to the Native Americans, the true owners of this land, that they shall have peace and justice, and that we shall not forget on Thanksgiving Day those who introduced this to the Europeans, who turned it around as a means of disrupting their culture and their lives. May they resurrect again. May the Native Americans resurrect again. May all the Native people in the world resurrect again. And may we, above all things, have strength and peace and blessing to those who are fighting for our justice throughout the world. This is our prayer. We say, Enti and so, Jinayachi. Stand behind our backs. No Yedawasi. And we thank you, Almighty God, whose name is Amen. Okay, God bless you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Shukran. Okay, so at this point, we want to do the ADS philosophy. Our brother Ade, we're actually Zooming from his humble abode, so we definitely want to thank him as the ADS collective. Every home is a facility of ours, so thank you, Ade, for hosting this program in your house tonight. So Ade will share with us the ADS philosophy.
Sure. As a community, we are united in our struggle. We say yes to life and no to those things that threaten to destroy us. Today, we move towards a lifestyle of human values based on love, governed by honesty, and secured by trust. No longer do we stand alone. We must be as open as the air with the will to survive, the will to learn, and the will to create. We are a creative force, motivated by each other, for the will of the people is the greatest force conceivable.
Ashe. Thank you so much, Brother Ade, for that. As always, our commitment and our concern is the well-being of our community. Our community has been suffering for centuries here in America. And on top of that, we're involved in a culture that does not promote us, that does not care for us. So every year, October the 13th, we run around eating sugar and sending our kids around knocking on doors and getting fed sugar that will last for months and months and months. I know it did for me when I was a child. And we go right from that into Thanksgiving. There's nothing to be thankful for when you talk about the millions of Indians, native indigenous people in this country who were murdered and slaughtered. And I'm sorry, children and babies also that were murdered and slaughtered. So this is part two of our discussion around the holiday syndrome and the effects of the holiday syndrome, what that brings during that time period, how there's a heightened sense of vigilance in our community. Everybody's tight and tense. Everybody's trying to spend their monies up. A rise in domestic violence. Queen Afi will be on tonight talking about that. A rise in crime. Just so many things that happen. Suicide, an increase in suicide. These things happen during these times. But again, the effects of it hits us in January, February, March, because we're still trying to catch up to pay the bills as a result of the overspending. And then when we talk about the holidays themselves, in what way do they apply to us? So we have these holiday syndrome programs to educate the community about that, to educate the community about ways and means in which we can avoid that, and things that we can do to stay healthy during that time, and to set the process in motion at the end of the year, that you would leave the year with a healthy spirit and mind state and go into the next year with this valuable information and data that these people are going to be sharing with you again tonight. So let me thank everyone for your support for the African Holistic Health Association, the ADS Collective, and the work that we're doing in the community. We'll be making a further announcement that we'll be doing some acupuncture detox training next month in December. So we'll share that information with folks so that people can sign up to get the acupuncture detox certification from the National Acupuncture Detox Association. So with that being said, we're going to go to our next speaker. Who is that next speaker that we have on deck? Okay. All right. My honor, my pleasure to present one of my mentors, my big brother, Bilal Sunni Ali. He has been involved in this movement, involved in this struggle his entire life, let's say, and has been, carrying, as we say back in the day, an oxen for the people. So he's been an oxen for the people. He is a member of the African Holistic Health Association. He is a member of the, senior member and elder for the Acupuncture Detox Collective, amongst so many other things that he's involved in, having to be my big brother, and we love him truly. So family, let's welcome the spirit, Baba Bilal Sunni Ali.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. It's an honor to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my duty to be here. And that's
Bilal,
yeah.
where you at?
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
On?
My mute on. Can anybody hear me?
Oh, we can.
Can
I can hear
anybody?
you.
Yes.
I can
Anybody?
hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All
Dr.
right.
Patterson can't hear you.
Okay, I'll start it over again. Thank you for that welcoming, and I will say assalamu alaikum to everyone. And I want to start off by saying I seek refuge in the law against misleading and being misled, against being betrayed into ignorance by others. And I ask the Lord to guide my heart and to guide my tongue, so that what I say tonight in this discussion has some benefit for everyone that hears it. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this special issue that we're doing in terms of the holiday syndrome. I think in the beginning discussion, which we had last month, few weeks ago, I mentioned that I personally didn't have a relationship with the depression of the holiday syndrome that a lot of people go through, because I never got into, through my family and just by being raised, I never got into the overall syndrome of getting into the holidays. The overall syndrome of getting into the holidays is what kept me from getting involved in the holiday depression syndrome. And it's an understanding that we have to fight against what is driving us. Just like with the in the beginning of the Lincoln Detox program at Lincoln Hospital that I was at, my job was to give political education to those who were involved in killing themselves through the use of drugs. And now, with the same thing, those who are involved in killing themselves through the use of these holidays, through the use of the different things that these holidays send us through, like Doc mentioned, the extraordinary eating of sugar, and everything that the holiday represents. In the United States, it boils down to spending money on things that are not good for you. Spending, like Doc said, spending money on sugar, and especially those things that destroy our health. Those things that initially destroy our mind is what we need to fight hard against. And I know that you have to, with the dope situation, we had to make people get involved, influence people into getting involved into fighting drug traffic. And as we move beyond just the particular aspect of just fighting drug abuse and fighting abuse of all of the things that intoxicate us, and now we as a people are moving to fight against all of the things that intoxicate us. So I would suggest that one by one, as I did last week, that if you're not familiar with the book, European Holidays by Reverend Ishaka Musa Barashango, it's a good way to get into it, and to get into, you take each one of these holidays day by day. Like right now, we're moving up on Thanksgiving, and so whatever you thought about Thanksgiving, and a lot of people give into going along with Thanksgiving by saying we should all be thankful. Everybody's got something to be thankful for. And so, and then they go along with the whole idea of celebrating Thanksgiving Day, which is not a day set aside for everybody to be thankful for. You can look it up. And the purpose of this holiday, Thanksgiving, was to commemorate the framing of the Constitution of the United States. It didn't have nothing to do with anything else. That's plainly what it says. What is the fourth Sunday of November, the fourth Thursday of November is a day set aside to commemorate the framing of the Constitution of the United States. And you can say, well, everybody needs to be thankful about something, and that's true. But we need to get away from the lie that's telling you what this day is about. And you thinking you're being thankful, you're being thankful to the Creator, and you're being thankful to your loved ones and others for the things you have, etc. But the purpose of the day is not to focus on what you're thankful of. You can make that your purpose of the day, but if they say it's to focus on the framing of the Constitution, then they want you to be more into assimilating into being Americans and away from acting toward your own self-determination. And this is the issue that I see that we have to do. Speaking of Thanksgiving, one of the things that I often did, I didn't do it for years and years, but when I lived in Washington, D.C., Dick Gregory used to go out on that day called Thanksgiving. He used to go to the White House, and he used to hold forums where people would come out here about how this land was stolen from the indigenous people, and talk about some of the history of how it's stolen from the indigenous people. So we take a day that they're projected for us to diss these indigenous people, to just totally diss them and diss their history. And we combat what we're given to do on that day by commemorating some of the heroic history of the indigenous people. And that's how Dick Gregory got a lot of us to fight against Thanksgiving. And again, not fight against the idea of giving thanks, or the wonderful and beautiful idea of giving thanks, but to fight against the hidden meaning, hidden only because they don't tell you about it, and you only know about it if somebody pulls your coat and you go up and you Google it now. Because I know I didn't even know about it till about 25 years ago, when I first heard about it, that what the day of the fourth Thursday of the month of November was all about. So getting back to the book that I referred to, European Holidays by Ishaka Musa Barashango. It'll give you every holiday, every European holiday, and the folklore that is tied to, and the commercialism that it's tied to. So you can, again, you suggest you research that book, and then you research the holidays along with researching in that book. You research them one by one. I was particularly driven to talk about this further by the fact that we were noticing over the last 4 months, over the last 4 weeks, and particularly over the last 2 weeks on our Zoom calls, there was more and more talk about getting away from staggering the schedule of our Zoom calls and all of the business that we are now grown accustomed to taking care on Zoom, of postponing that to give time to allow for people to practice Thanksgiving in some form or another, or practice Halloween in some form or another, or practice Christmas in some form or another. And seeing this, and actually seeing dates being switched around, and duties that people have revolutionary responsibilities for, that we've already signed up to do, and now we're pushing these dates around to make it more easy for us to go back and for us to sneak back and do some European holiday binging. It's something that that I've noticed in at least 3 organizations. This postponing of days to make room for the inclusion of Halloween, of Thanksgiving, and of Christmas coming up. When I was young in the movement and primarily a cultural worker, it was just the opposite. We would always find reason not to celebrate those holidays. And we wouldn't make time, we would never make time out of our revolutionary business and out of our revolutionary meetings to give allowance for time to celebrate these holidays. Celebrating the stopping of the celebrating of holidays was an important target of our work as cultural workers. So it needs to, I hope I can encourage people to get back to that, to think about that time of how it was 15 or 20 years ago and how it has grown. And COVID in this way has helped it because it has helped us get on Zoom. But the Zoom has helped us. Being on Zoom and being on the platform has opened up us again to wanting to change our schedules in order to fit those holidays, rather than fortifying a way to fight those holidays. The way that I mentioned about Dick Gregory, and there was others who would come out there with him, that it was directly opposed to continuing the celebration of those holidays. And if we stay focused on using the holiday to further our struggle, for instance, one day, one way that was done was always when the Europeans are celebrating something, we're planning something else. We're not doing what they're doing. If this is a day that they're going to be celebrating, and this is a day that they're going to be paying less attention to what we're doing, then we need to make sure that on these days and during this time, we're doing something that's more to benefit ourselves. Okay, I want to leave time. I don't know exactly what time I started, but I wanted to leave time for questions and to answer any questions that any people might have, or give any clarity to any points that I've raised that people feel they want some clarity around. And I hope I hope this discussion has been of some benefit so far.
Yes, it has, Baba. And let me just ask the first question. First of all, thank you so much for that. When we talk about the holiday syndrome, there's a psychological effect that takes place. There's a certain kind of conditioning that takes place where people get into that process. Could you talk a little bit about that? How that conditioning is exacted upon us when we talk about advertising, when we talk about generational cultures being handed down to the next person, etc., and talk about that scheme in terms of how that's actually being done. If you could touch a little bit on that.
Well, one of the points that I made is that commercialism is involved with each holiday.
Did you hear me, Barbara?
Yeah, he's talking.
There's some kind of echo going on, but one of the points that I raised is that in the celebration of these holidays, there's always an emphasis, as a commercial emphasis, that in spite of the reason projected for the holiday, the purpose that the commercial aspect of it is that somebody's trying to get you to buy something with every holiday. They're going to buy, they create these symbols, and then they want you to buy those symbols in the form of candy, for one thing. So when you go into the store, and you see, like it's Halloween, so you see a lot of pumpkins, you see a lot of candy in orange and black. You see a lot of stuff that's marshmallow filled with orange and black covering to attract you to it's a holiday that they want you to celebrate. But we get into it because we're driven to buy that stuff, and when we talk about boycotting, that's one of the things we should boycott going into the syndrome of falling into the syndrome of buying things on holiday, of spending more money than we need to spend, when we don't need to spend actually any money on any of the holidays. We don't need to go out and spend extra money, but that's the syndrome that they'll get you into. And there's even an effort to make it seem like you're saving money, because they'll say this is a Thanksgiving Day sale. So and by calling it a sale, they influence you to think you can save money if you spend money now. You can save money, and it's like the holiday is based on a lie, And again, I use this one because it has tricked so many people into thinking that we're celebrating, or we're observing the act of being thankful, when actually the law says that we are observing the framing of the Constitution of the United States. So we're tricked, and then we're tricked into buying things, buying things that's based on the symbol of the holiday, and they just want you to buy it. And then on top of that, even things that has nothing to do with the holiday, they want you to buy. They want you to take part in these so-called spending sprees that they refer to as sales. I hope I've answered the question or shed some light on it. If I need to talk further.
Yes. Anybody else have any questions? If you do, you can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask those questions right now. Anybody here have any questions around the holiday syndrome? Brandon? Okay, Brandon, go ahead and unmute.
Yes, I just got a question. I know it wasn't here for the first part for Halloween, but what rituals are being done on these holidays that we don't know about?
Rituals that you said that we all know about. Well,
we don't know about. I know like for like Halloween, just like on like a blood sacrifice, like there's always something going on Halloween. Like for example, takeoff. The same night during that time, the Scorpio season, and it seemed like it's always bloodshed. So like, what rituals they got us confused on? We should be focused on this ritual, but they got us doing something else that don't benefit us.
Well, what I've recognized about Halloween is that Halloween is the contraction for Hallow Evening. And it's the day before a very uplifting spiritual day called All Saints Day. It's a day when you commemorate saints and you try to emulate the behavior of saints. Saints are people who did extra work toward being good. So what they do with Halloween is instead of focusing on the fact that All Saints Day is the day that you're going to commemorate the work and emulate the good works of people who are noted for doing things exceptionally good, they have you focusing on the night before, which people have used to focus on, well, if we're going to concentrate on the good tomorrow, well, I can be totally bad tonight. I don't know if people are realizing that that's what they're doing. It works again with the season of Lent. When Lent starts, the day before Lent, the day before Lent is called Mardi Gras Day, and in Mardi Gras Day, the day before you're gonna go into cleansing, Mardi Gras Day, you can do all the evil that you could imagine of. I remember, my father telling me about growing up. If you wanted to kill somebody, you would tell them. It'll be a warning out. Mardi Gras Day is coming soon, so I'm gonna get you. And people accept it. People put more emphasis on the negative aspect of what goes on before you start to cleanse than they pay attention to the fact that the Lent season is a season where you're starting to cleanse yourself physically and spiritually of negative behaviors, negative foods, etc. So that's the, I don't know whether any specific rituals we're talking about, but that's what I know is the overall ritual and syndrome that a lot of people get into for Lent and on Mardi Gras Day, and it's the same syndrome that people get into between Halloween and All Saints Day. It's like the good time, the real righteous time is coming up, where you're going to concentrate on righteousness. So you're just going to bend over backwards to be unrighteous on these particular days, and without people knowing that, without even getting into any particular ritual, people just with that general understanding, people will attune themselves and prepare themselves to do negative stuff on Halloween and to do negative stuff on Mardi Gras Day. I hope that gives some clarity to what we were discussing.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anything else? Anybody else?
Okay. Echo. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Let's give our brother a black hand, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
big,
so much.
Big old black hand. I want to thank our Bible Bilal. I was on the call with the Atlanta Collective today, and they're doing some wonderful work, planning some programs down there. So again, thank you, Bible Bilal, for your contributions as we move on to our next speaker.
just mention one thing quickly.
Yes.
That I'm pleased right now.
Our next speaker, Dr. Alim Muhammad, my brother, my friend, my colleague, my revolutionary partner in this struggle, to deal with these health conditions brought on by this system, brought on by those who control the monies, control the institutions, as well as the fight to deal with all of these viruses and vaccines and all of these other things that they've been pushing. And here we come up with COVID, and then we got the holidays coming in and out and all kinds of stuff going on. We got 900 different kind of viruses popping up and popping in and out. And people don't realize that a lot of these young children are suffering health problems because they took those shots. They don't realize that a lot of these heart attacks and things being clotted up and blocked up all in the body, and some of your best friends all of a sudden becoming ill and dropping dead. And here we are right in the midst of that, and we got young 13, 14, and 15-year-old young men shooting and killing each other. So we're under viral attack. We're under, economic attack. We're just being hit from all sides. My brother, Dr. Alim Muhammad, founded the Your Immunity Project more than 2-3 years ago, and took a position to present to the community a viable healing alternative for the viruses, a viable healing alternative for overall health and immunity, and presented to the community Pax Immune. That particular product is responsible for saving hundreds of millions of lives around the continent, as Dr. Alim Muhammad has been an ambassador for this, and I know has taken it to at least 55 countries and supporting that, via our Cuban doctors and what they've been doing. And Doc has been doing the same kind of work. So without any further ado, my honor, my privilege to bring to the screen our brother, Dr. Alim Muhammad. He's muted. You're muted, Doc.
Okay, how about
You're
now?
muted, Doc. You on?
He's on. How about
Okay.
now?
All right. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Again, thank you, Doc, again, for, joining us. And again, like I stated, this is one of my best friends and, one of my warrior brothers. And as he stands, I will continue to stand. So family, welcome, Dr. Alim Muhammad.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings to one and all. I'm very, very happy and honored to be a part of this celebration. We're talking about holidays. Well, this is a holiday. We're all here. We're all in a celebratory mood. So this is our holiday. So we can be negative and talk about what the pagans are doing. But unless we're pagans, why should we care what pagans do? So the holy day is the real way to say it slowly so you get the full meaning. Holy days. And so they have theirs. The pagans have theirs. The disbelievers have theirs. And we should have ours. And we do have ours. And so we want to talk about that. And we want to talk about COVID-19 and all the rest of it. So I'm very happy to be with you. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share this platform. We love the modern technology and all of the wonderful things that it allows to be done that we never could do before. And so the African Holistic Health Association has been around a long, long time doing great work. And I've been very proud to be associated with Dr. Kakai and his associates. And I see the good work is continuing. And so this is always a celebration. This is always good times. See, sometimes we lose the battle with our people over these so-called holidays because, as the great Frederick Douglass asked the question, what is the 4th of July To the slave. Well, that's a very good question if you're a slave. What if you're not a slave? See, now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that on the 4th of July was the coming of our Savior Allah, Master Farad Muhammad. So if you see me celebrating on the 4th of July, hey, what do you think I'm celebrating? Am I celebrating like a slave on the 4th of July? Or am I celebrating like a free man? It's the same day. So then what holiday is your holiday depends on who you are. Are you a slave? Well, then to the slave, a holiday is just a day you get off. And that's why it's hard to break the holidays habit, because that's about the only time a slave family gets together. Everybody got to work on every other day. It's not so much that our people believe in the philosophy of Thanksgiving or Christmas or this or that. They know that's the day I get off. And I can go, I say back in the plantation days, yeah, that's a day I can go and I can visit my wife that I haven't seen for 3 months. I can go see my children. We can get together, the family, and have a good time. Whatever the white folks is doing up at the big house, we ain't up there. Maybe Fiddler's up there fiddling, but he's doing that for money, not because he's with the spirit of that. Let them be with the spirit of the holidays. The thing that I would caution all of us against, don't let the spirit get in you. And I don't just mean alcoholic spirits. There's a holiday spirit is a real spirit. Now, some of us have been given rational scientific educations that make us disbelieve in the spiritual. We don't believe in spirits. But when you witness what takes place on Halloween, say in a place like Detroit, where they burn everything down, you tell me what spirit is operating on that night. When we see what goes on, say on Christmas Eve, what, the day our dear Savior was born? What, with a bottle in his hand? With a reefer in his mouth? In bed with another man's woman? But that's what goes on Christmas Eve, because it's a pagan holiday. And we know that, we've been knowing that. That's nothing new. So what are these holidays to a slave people? In a slave culture, it's a day when you get off, unless they call you in. Like they did last year, they called you in on Christmas and you went in. And so that day your children didn't see you. Your father didn't see you. Your mother didn't see you because they called you in, even though it was a holiday. You were supposed to be off. So what's the holiday to a slave? It's a day when you're supposed to be off, unless they call you in. And if they call you in, you're going in. They can call it a Christian holiday, but if you call yourself a Christian and they call you in, you're going in. And sometimes you come up with some unusual holiday, something you call a holiday, and then you go beg the pagan to recognize your holy day. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to teach us to ask this question when somebody was raising such things about God and holiness. He taught us to ask this simple question. You're talking about God. This is God's holy day. Okay, what God are you talking about? because there are gods many and lords many. So now which one are you talking about? This might be some God's holy day, but which one are you talking about? And so when we look into a lot of these holy days, so-called, well, they are holy days for pagans. They are holy days for devil worshipers. So who do you think our slave masters were? Who do you think the slave masters' children are? They're devil worshipers, otherwise known as pagans, which is a nice name for Nazis. Satanists. So you see, I'm going to show some illustrations here, and I'll go through them pretty quick. But I want to get to a real key point, because I don't want to just be theoretical. I'm not just trying to be philosophical. You know, we've already heard from the experts who have studied, you know, the whole history of all of this paganism. See, it's just
That's
like
right,
King
Doc.
James.
Thank you.
It's just like King James, you see, who wrote the so-called Holy Bible. Well, what did King James write before he wrote the Bible? Before he wrote the Bible, he wrote a book called Demonology. So what do you think the Bible is? The King James version of the Bible. What do you think it is? It is a book full of magic potions, black magic potions that put you in a trance or a spell that make you a permanent slave. And then they give you the slave master's holidays to celebrate, because you get off unless they call you in. So, see, when we talk about a holiday or any day, see, any day could be a holiday. Probably any day of the week is somebody's holiday. You see, but when we worship, we're making a mistake. See that word worship? Originally, it wasn't worship at all. It was called workship. But they took the K out. And now, instead of people getting together for worship, they engage in idol worship. Now, how do you spell the word idol? Two ways. I-D-O-L. Because they're worshiping false idols instead of what they should be worshiping, which is the God that created them all. And they should be in a proper relationship with the God who created them by furthering God's creation. And then when they achieve victories in God's creation, they should celebrate the victory. And that's proper worship that they have now corrupted into worship. And the worship of false idols is done by idol worshipers. That's the second way you spell it, I-D-L-E. So the idol worshipers are worshiping false idols. And that's what you're talking about when you talk about pagan holidays like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all the rest of them. We can go through the whole long list of them, but that's already been done. So what we're really talking about, whatever day it is, whatever day of the week it is, whatever day of the year it is, all of them are the Lord's days, and all of them are good, and all of them are holy. The question on any given day is, what do you give your time and your attention to? What do you give your time and attention to? Because that is the time of your life. And what you give your time and your attention to is, that is your worship. That is your worship. So now, you see this, I'm showing you this real quick. Some of you are familiar with atonement, the Holy Day of Atonement, the Million Man March. That was a holy day, wasn't it? And we were given the 8 steps of atonement. Here you see 9. But this is the one that we were given, where we can't get stuck in it, because what is it? It's negative. What are we doing? We're pointing out what? The wrong. Acknowledging the wrong. Confessing the wrong. Repenting of the wrong. Atoning for the wrong. Hey, is the whole world wrong? Is everybody in the world wrong? Is everything in the world wrong? Is everything negative? Or is there a possibility that we could point out the right? Acknowledge the right, confess the right, rethink the right and make it better, improve the world. If we don't like the holidays that the pagans are celebrating, hey, where's our holiday? If we don't like the fun that the people have on these holidays, hey, what kind of fun do we offer them? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you don't have to condemn a dirty glass, just set a clean one down beside it. Well, where's the clean holy day? See, Ron Karanga did us a great favor. He tried to give us a clean set of holy principles for our observance. And many of us observe that, and it's a very good thing. But because the mainstream media doesn't push it, but they do push paganism, most of our people are still caught up in the paganism that controls their very lives. And they will continue to be controlled by the pagan philosophy of the society as long as they are controlled by the pagan society. And as long as the pagan society is allowed to exist. So now pay attention. Because what is taking place over in Ukraine? Ukraine is a Nazi country of Satanists. And what is actually taking place over there is a satanic ritual, a massive blood sacrifice. That's what every war is. But what you're looking at is a reenactment of the crucifix. That's what you're looking at. You see, not so long ago, there was a blood moon. There was a blood moon. And the blood moon to a pagan, it may not mean anything to you, but a blood moon to a pagan is a sign for a blood sacrifice to be done. Somebody got to be sacrificed. And who was the sacrifice of the moment? Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, and even Elon Musk was put up on the cross by the same pagans that put Jesus up on the cross, so they say. By the same ones that killed all the prophets that we hear about, all of the righteous servants of God were killed by the same people that tried to crucify Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, and even Elon Musk. Because Elon Musk had the audacity to use Twitter to put forth a proposal for peace in Ukraine in the middle of a massive blood sacrifice. How in the world are you going to call for peace in the middle of a blood sacrifice? That's why they sacrificed Jesus in a pagan ritual 2,000 years ago, because he was supposed to be the Messiah of the Jews. He was supposed to wage war against the Romans and conquer the Romans and put the Jews back in power. Instead, he's talking about peace. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Them pagans couldn't stand that. Then he had the nerve to overturn the money changers in the temple that was exchanging money, cheating the people, bank robbing the people. Just like this guy that was running FTX, supposed to be a money whiz, a crypto whiz. And all he was a crook, a crypto crook. The same as the crooks used to be 2,000 years ago. When have they ever reformed? And so these are the holy days of these kinds of people, these kinds of satanic people, and we should not give our time and our attention to such foolishness and such evil. Because ultimately, see, we end up being the sacrifice. Pay attention to when they sacrificed Michael Jackson. Pay attention to the dates when they sacrificed Prince. Pay attention to when they sacrificed, what's the wonderful singer? I can't call her name right now. You know who I mean. They sacrifice one or two every year. Last year, this time they sacrificed DMX, didn't they? These are blood sacrifices to pagans. When will you wake up? So now let me just close on something. See, who is this? Who is this? If you live in Washington, D.C., you can go see a statue in front of the Justice Department. This is General Albert Pike, the Confederate general. His statue is in front of the Justice Department, and you're wondering why you can't get justice. This Confederate general, he wrote the Morals and Dogma for the Freemasons. He organized the Ku Klux Klan. He was in league with B'nai B'rith. See, they talk about the Anti-Defamation League. No, it's the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith. The Anti-Defamation League is just the attack dog. Why are you trying to have a debate with the attack dog? Why don't you go talk to B'nai B'rith? And when you're talking to B'nai B'rith, you're talking to Albert Pike. Albert Pike, just very briefly, now I put a lot of these things that I'm talking about on my Telegram account. So you can go to Telegram and just put in Dr. Alim, spell the word doctor all the way out, and request is a private group. You have to request to join, and I'll send you the link. So if you go there, you can read Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini in 1871, where he was planning the three world wars. The three world wars, World War I, World War II, and World War III. And so what's taking place right now is Albert Pike's planned World War III. It's taking place in Ukraine. And the outcome, just so you know, of the Third World War is the destruction of Christianity, the destruction of Islam, and the acceptance by the world's population of a world government ruled over by Satan himself. And so that's what the pagans are all excited about. Now, we have to have a different vision. See, we have to have a different vision. These are the 9 ministries introduced by Minister Farrakhan at the Million Family March in 2005. So this is a vision of a future if we want to take it. But we can't make a future like this by financing the hell that we're in. So we can either finance a better future. I don't know if you can see that or not, but again, these are published on my Telegram. So we can either finance the hell that we live in currently, or we can finance a better future. It's all up to us. See, we can continue to react to what devilish people are doing that's negative and against our interests, or we can turn the other way and do positive things that are in our interests. It's just like Jesus told the people. See, he didn't tell them to get out of the boat that they were in. He just said, cast your net on the other side. You're in the right boat, but you're just casting your net on the wrong side where you ain't gonna get nothing. You got to cast it on the side where you're gonna get something. There's nothing wrong with having holidays. There's nothing wrong with giving thanks to God. There's nothing wrong with giving thanks to one another. There's nothing wrong with giving one another gifts. There's nothing wrong with having celebrations and parties. There's nothing wrong with having feasts. There's nothing wrong with any of that. There's nothing wrong with having holy rituals. That's how you divide the time up of the year in the different seasons. This is how you build community. This is how you keep families together. When you deprive yourself of holidays or you worship in somebody else's holidays, see, that's why you don't have a family. That's why you don't have a business. That's why you don't have a community, because you're wasting your time and giving your attention to other people's gods, other people's holidays, what other people's are doing, even though you call yourself a critic. But all your time and all your attention is over there. So Jesus said, cast your net on the other side, where you can actually get something, where you can actually get some gold and silver for your labor, where you can get some health, where you can get some real food to nourish your body. You see, that's on the other side. It's not on the side that you're on. One final thing, and then I'm done. See, it's all about identity. It's all about who you think you are. See, who do you think you are? Look at this, and then I'm done. See, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving. What was his big transgression? He recommended that people go see a movie called From Hebrew to Negro. From Hebrew to Negro, as though he had said something wrong. Well, what is the definition of a Hebrew? The definition of a Hebrew is, it means one who has crossed over. One who has crossed over. This was a term that was first applied to Father Abraham and his family after they crossed over the Jordan River, which was chilly and cold, into the promised land. So now that just, again, gets me right back to my beginning point. See, what is a holiday to a slave versus what is a holiday of a free man? What is the holiday of one who has crossed over versus the holiday of one who's still on the other side in the wilderness? And so that's the question that I can't answer for you. That's the question that you have to answer for yourself. Have you crossed over? I don't know what your affiliation is, but if you are of this world, of this slave culture world, oh yeah, then you're going to be pestered all the days of your life by these pagan holidays that you say that you're opposed to, but yet you give all your time and attention to it. And you give no time and attention to anything that is different than that, even though you're on the negative side of it. And so here's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did for us. He didn't care what the Orthodox or the so-called Eastern Muslim world thought about him. He said, my people are plagued by these Christian holidays. So starting right after so-called Thanksgiving, he put the Nation of Islam on a fast, the whole entire month of December. He called it Ramadan. The so-called Orthodox Muslims had a fit. They said, that's not Ramadan. You can't call that Ramadan. He didn't care what they said. For me and my followers, it's Ramadan because it keeps us away from the Christian holidays. Because we're fasting, we're not drinking, we're not eating, we're not doing any of the things that we see the other people doing because we are fasting. We are observing all of the rules of Ramadan, but instead of doing it according to the lunar calendar as it is done in the predominant Muslim world, we observe Ramadan during the Christian holidays to keep us away from the Christian holidays so the spirit of the holidays didn't get into us. And it worked like a charm because by the time we had made it through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, guess what time it is? I ain't on my President's Day, Lincoln's Day, I'm on my Savior's Day. So that's why we were able to, year after year after year after year, deliver huge amounts of money in charity and good works at Savior's Day on February the 26th, the birthday of Master Fawad Muhammad. That was our holy day. And we made a big celebration, not just in some vain philosophical way. Yeah, we did that too, but we also did it in a very material way. And we had something to celebrate. And so Dr. Kakai and all of you who are a part of this conference call, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share some of my thoughts on these subjects. I didn't touch too much on COVID-19, but we do that every Tuesday, 7 p.m., the Your Immunity conference call on Zoom. It's on Facebook, on Cal Fani Radio. And then also on the 19th Element on Wednesday evenings, I hold forth, I should say, my co-host, Brother Carlito Muhammad, we hold forth on political issues, economic issues, all kinds of things. And so you can join us on Tuesday for the Your Immunity Project. You can join us on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. with the 19th Element. Now, if you have a question for me, because I really have to get off the call. My mother's 98. She's 98, and in January she'll be 99.
Wow.
So
thank you, Doc.
time.
I got that point on that one. So we're gonna move and help you with that. Let's give him a black hand, family. Let's give him a black hand.
Thank you.
but it's so important. It's so important for you all to tap into those programs that he talked about on California Radio, Your Immunity Project, you know, etc. You know, so that you can continue to be informed. And that's what's the most important thing that we do: educate and inform people in the community. That's what's going on, so they can make great decisions. And you know, they're shutting everybody down on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. So again, thank you so much, my brother, Dr. Alim Muhammad. And
I'm gonna put my
blessings to your
email
mama, and we
into
love
the
you.
chat.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, family, we want to take a 60-second intermission as we are linking up our next speaker. Okay, family, we're back again and again, thanking Dr. Alim Muhammad for all of that vital information that we need as a people to move forward. And as he stated, he didn't speak much about COVID and any of that, but he gave you a lot of the links that he's promoting, information around that, and where you can get constant updates. But one of the things you want to do is go to the CDC website, and then going to the CDC website, and then going to the CDC website, and going to the CDC website, you want to look into the VAERS section, the Vaccine Adverse Reaction Reporting System. So go right into the CDC website and punch that in, and you'll get all the data that's out there that we've been using to get truth to the people. The information is right there in CDC. They dry snitch on themselves all the time. So please go on and check that out. Our next speaker, I'm going to bring Sister Caitlin on to introduce our next speaker. She's not on yet? Okay. All right. We're waiting for our next speaker to come on. Martin, let me know when she comes on. In the meantime, let me give a quick update on a few things that are happening with the ADS Collective and the African Older Scouts Association. Last April, we did a acupuncture detox training where we took people, probably about 10 or 15 people through acupuncture detox training. Now, I'm actually in the room with several of the trainees that worked with us in that process, as well as Brother Sheikh Tebrahim Sah, who's one of our speakers, is on, who also took that training. And he, of course, very, very powerful and strong representative in our community. So to continue on with the training that started in 1998, the first acupuncture detox training session that included Dr. Laila Africa, who's one of our great ancestral healers. We started that process then. And as we know, Dr. Matuda Shakur is the person who initiated that concept back in 1970. And we, of course, are excited. For those who don't know, and most of you all probably do know, that the parole board, the New York State Parole Board, has granted him parole and his release. And he's due for release December 16th. So we're really excited about him coming home so that he can meet all of the students that he has. And he has over 300,000 students around the country who have taken up the practice of acupuncture detox to deal with problems in our community. So we will be doing a training in DC, and please pass the word. That training will take place December the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th, right here in DC. That training will be conducted by myself and Dr. Uriwana Trinidad, who was my second instructor, and Matuba Shakur was my first instructor, and Dr. Trinidad was my second instructor, and was a part of the work that the Panthers and the Young Lords Party were doing up in New York. She'll be doing the NADA certification training December 9th, 10th, and 11th here in Washington, D.C. The next month, we'll be heading to California, to the Bay Area there, and we'll be doing a training there, and then to Atlanta, and then to Detroit and Chicago. All of those places we'll be following as we are moving at a faster pace to get people trained. So that is the plan. That's where we are right now. We want to thank all of you all for your support for Dr. Matuba Shakur, as well as your support for the ADS Collective. Has Queen got on yet? Okay. So we're still waiting for Queen to come on, or Samaya. So the ADS Collective, again, we meet in DC on Sundays. We are meeting at YSC, which is the Youth Service Center here in DC. I call it the Youth Jail. And this is where they lock up little 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids in actual jail cells. So we've been meeting there on Sundays, where the acupuncture cadre, the acupuncture students, the ADS Collective begin to practice their skill. And in the meantime, we're taking care of and servicing the Black community with free acupuncture every Sunday. So we invite folk to come. The ADS website, what is that website, family?
ADScollective.org.
ADScollective.org. Okay, we're going to put that in the chat. The ADScollective.org, so that you can be aware of what's going on with the collective. So again, every Sunday, and we move from spot to spot, so you're welcome to come, get a free treatment, and make a contribution. Okay, thank you. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sister Kaylin Brock.
Peace, family. Thank you all for being here. Our next speaker, Queen Afi, is a DC native, and she is also the founder of Domestic Violence Wears Many Tags. She will be on tonight to share about that. If you all can give a warm welcome to Queen Afi.
Okay, Queen. Okay, Queen Afi, we gotta go. All righty. Thank you so much, Queen Afi family.
Thank you so much for having me back on again. It is a pleasure, Dr. Katai, and everybody else who is listening in. Of course, I was here last month, right? Last month. And we had this beautiful conversation about domestic violence and mental health. And I talked about the many tags of domestic violence on our last setting, because domestic violence wears many tags: verbal, emotional, financial, sexual, and physical abuse. And I think it's very important that we begin to identify with all 5 of those tags for domestic violence. And today, I want to talk a little bit more about, the holidays and, those red flags, believe in those red flags, believe in those warning signs and how to encourage someone who may be going through it during the holidays, someone who might need some support. What are some of the best ways to do that? So with the warning signs of an abusive personality, you will hear that question of, why did you stay? A lot of people ask victims, male and females, why did they stay in the relationship, intimate partner relationships? And it's for various reasons why professionally I can say they stay. But for the victim, a lot of times they don't know why they're staying. It's almost like it's a normal for them. Like they could have endured it in childhood, as an adolescent. And so it seems normal for them to stay in an intimate partner relationship and work out something that is damaged, something that is verbally abusive, something that is emotionally abusive. It's almost like normal to them because they have already experienced it, potentially in childhood and as an adolescent. The other thing about this particular warning sign is grooming. So grooming is the warning sign. And my point is, we ask these questions: why do you stay? Why would you put up with this? You better than that. Girl, if it was me, man, it couldn't be me. So we say these things without being fully educated that grooming is a very serious warning sign. And when the abuser grooms you, they groom you in a way from a psychological standpoint. They begin to take everything that you said to them in hope, help, and healing and turn it against you for psychological isolation, to isolate the victim from their self. And one of the ways that the abuser does this is they listen very well. They listen to your trauma. They listen to your past hurt. They listen to your past failures. They listen to the grief that you may have experienced as a young child or adolescent. Those stories, those traumatic stories, the abuser chimes into that and wants you to, wants to make it appear that, okay, wow, this happened to you. This is awful. Like, I'm sorry. And the abuser, a lot of times, the abuser may concoct a story just to follow your story, to make you feel whole, to make you feel like, they care and they're tuned in, they're listening in, and they really want to support you with your past traumatic experiencing. So when the victims say, male or female, man, I don't know why I stay. Or they might say, I stay for love. There's a lot of victims who say, I stay for love. Right then and there, you got to know that the grooming process is working. Right then and there, you got to know that this person has been groomed and that it is effective. Okay. And let me tell you something about the warning sign of grooming. It's a very effective warning sign. And it appears to care. It appears to love. It appears to want to help and support. But the next warning sign that is followed by grooming is going to be verbal abuse. Because now that abuser is taking your past trauma or hurt, whatever those stories are of pain or emotional, turmoil, takes those stories and then start using them against you. So, so now it's like, excuse me, like, did he just say that? Or, man, did she just say that? Like, you start to feel it inside your body that this person is hitting home, like hitting below the belt, literally. And, but you still stay. That's the thing. The victim is still psychologically there. And one of the things that the abuser does to make sure that grooming and verbal abuse is working is they shoot their shot. They shoot their shot. and they wait to see if you will stay, or if you're the type of person who say, look, I'm not going to deal with nobody talking to me like that. I've shared some things in private, I've shared some things about my story, and this person is, sort of making me feel, verbally attacked, so right then and there, the victim starts saying, I'm sorry. Sorry for what? Why are you sorry? Tell me how I could fix it. Why would you want to fix something with someone who's taking your trauma and using it against you? Why would you want to fix that with someone? I do better. Why are you going to do better for someone who's taking your traumatic stories and turning it against you? Why would you want to do better? Okay, so those are all prompting words and sayings for the abuser to know that psychologically, they're still in your mind. They're starting to really isolate you from you. And these two warning signs, of course, grooming is going to come. You could show up very early on. Once you start saying what your trauma is, grooming can show up, start the process right there. Verbal abuse may take a little time to start like really showing up and being effective. But you must know that the abuser will be doing drive-bys on you, very subtle drive-bys on you, things that they know that they shouldn't be saying to you. And then they monitor whether or not you're going to take action or not. So a lot of times victims don't take action on the verbal abuse. It then begins to escalate into jealousy. So now the third warning sign is jealousy. The abuser is acting jealous of, you wearing this dress, or you mingling with your family, or you showing your children love and affection. The abuser began to put a wedge in between you and everything that you love. To now, you don't even do what you love. You don't even do what you love no more, because the abuser has suddenly drew a wedge between the things that you love and the people that you love, which is why you hear family members and friends say, oh, she won't even talk to me, or he won't even talk to me. She isolated him from me, or he isolated her from me. Okay, so you'll hear those things like, I don't know why she won't talk to me. I don't know why he won't tell me the details of what's going on between him and her. But it seemed like every time, he come around or she come around, they started to change up towards me. Because the thing about that is that the abuser is going to make that person that, who the victim love is going to make them feel some kind of way when it comes to, at the end of the day, the victim talking to you, or the victim showing you that love, and showing you that affection. They could very well be making up stories in the background about, I seen the way he was looking at you. I saw how close you was standing to her. You got to stop that. Also, the abuser begins to do things like break inside your phone, invade your privacy, enter into your phone, and look for things, and these could be messages that's from like a year old, but you just didn't erase it out your phone or something. And the abuser chops up your phone and get all your business about, and then throw all this old stuff in your face and hold that over your psychological mind in order to do what? Make you stay in the relationship, make you feel bad, make you feel guilty, make you feel like, you are just this cheater, this liar, this thief in the relationship. So jealousy is a very serious warning sign. I've heard one of my students ask me, she said, well, you can have some form of jealousy, and I said, well, what is that? To what level can you have this? And she just really felt like, you can have some level of jealousy in a relationship, and you can, but should that jealousy cause you to start breaking inside, the privacy of that person, where, breaking into the phone or breaking into the computer, their devices and things like that, does it cause you to do that? Like, should it cause you to draw a wedge between, that friend, that family member, your children, should it cause that? You know, and she really felt like, you know, that there is some degree of jealousy in relationships. And again, she's not totally wrong, but then it drives you to do things that is you know, treacherous for your health and the other person's health. So I would say that it is a warning sign of an abusive personality, and it's going to remain a warning sign of an abusive personality. Some of you may agree with me, some of you may not agree with me. My last warning sign tonight is going to be quick involvement. And quick involvement ties us right back to the grooming stage, because now I've listened to your story, I've listened to your pain. So the abuser know the next thing that they got to do is quickly get in the bed with you, quickly make premature sex happen. And sometimes premature sex happens first, and then grooming is sure going to follow after that. Grooming is sure going to follow after that, because the abuse is like, you slept with me on the first night. Like, the abuser know, male and female abusers know, like, you shouldn't be sleeping with them on the first night, the first week, the first month. The abuser know these things, but we end up doing something that, you know what I'm saying? We end up doing something, you know, we done found somebody, you know, we about to, you know, hook up, you know, we about to, you know, chop it up with this person, you know, very young, very prematurely, and it ends us up in the grooming process. To now this person is making me feel guilty for, you know, the one night stand. Because it's like abusers will start saying, well, if you slept with me on the first night, who else you would do this with? I can't trust you. They will instantly start going down that right. And that is to psychologically steal your mind from you. Start that process of stealing your mind from you. Once the abuser is able to do this, it's no telling if the victim will ever make it out. Once the abuser start the warning signs, and it's 11 of them. I only gave you 4 tonight. It's 11 warning signs. So once the abuser starts these warning signs, it's no telling if that victim is going to make it out or not, because these warning signs are so powerful. Like, and if you are already a person who really does have trauma, or, you know, you really have been through some things in your life, and you think in this intimate partner relationship, you could have potentially found someone, and to have them turn around and use these things on you, it causes the person to stay. It causes them to want to work on it and do better, and it's not even your fault. It causes them to want to, you know, change their self, and, you know, I'll try to think differently. That's exactly what the abuser wants you to do. That's exactly what the abuser wants you to say, things like, I'll try to think differently. I'll try to do better. No, and that's not how that works in a healthy relationship. That's not how that works. So you got to be careful when we are, you know, quickly jumping in the bed with somebody and having, you know, giving out eggs and sperm to people that we don't even know, because it can be an entrapment of your life. Because again, we're not sure if the victim could make it out of what we say the warning signs of an abusive personality. So you must be aware of that person that you're sitting across. You must ask those 106 dating questions that are very prevalent, that we don't even have no idea what they are. But I can tell you this, the dating questions don't talk about your trauma. We got to stop coming to the table and talking about our trauma with someone who we don't know. That's why you got to get therapy. When you go through things, you have to get therapy, that safe space to be able to confide in that space, so that when you are dating, you can focus on the 106 dating questions that it is that needs to be talked about, you know, on some of your dates that you go on, or your phone calls when you're trying to get to know someone. If you have been through trauma, you cannot do trauma bonding. You cannot start trauma bonding with people, because those warning signs are sure to show up. They're going to show up. Once the abuser, male or female, knows that they have this over you, you know, we don't know if that victim, male or female, will be able to make it out. Okay. Any questions, any comments? We got time for a question or two, or no? Is my segment up?
Absolutely, we have time for questions, Sister Queen. I love Sister Queen Afi because of what she brings. She brings it in the raw. You know, she brings straight shot information. But the most important thing, because in the ADS collective, you know, we have women, you know, in the collective. And I see our sisters on, Rose and Janice and Andrea and Sunni and, you know, all the other sisters, Iftihal, you know, all the other sisters that are in the collective. It's so important for us men to protect our women. It's so important for us men to share this kind of information with our women. Queen, let me ask you this particular question. When it comes down to, and we touched on this a little bit last time, and I think me and you hit the number right on the head when we talked about it. When it comes to teaching young people, and I'm just going to use the word young people, but when it comes to teaching young people about their bodies, about abuse, about emotions, you know, about sex, about at what age should that start?
We should start at roughly around 5 years old. And depending on your child, because some children are really in tune early on, you can start saying, you know, start saying things at 2, having them 2, 3, 4 start to identify with their body parts. And again, like we talked in the last segment, we don't want them to know poo poo pee pee no. We want them to know, you know, chest, vagina, penis.
That's right.
But you know, we want them to know the scientific words that go along with, you know, our biological self, or the biological words that go along with our scientific selves. So we got to make sure that we're identifying with them what those body parts are specifically, because if somebody starts touching them and you try to take the child to get help, and the child is saying he or she touched my nana or my papa, what is that? You know, in the caseworker or the doctor is looking like, you know, which one is that? You know, and so the abuser will even say, see, that don't even make no sense. What is the papa? What is the woo-woo? What is the wee-wee? What is that? You know, and so we must have our children identifying with their body parts early on. And of course, we know puberty can start a lot earlier for some children as well. If we take them to the doctors and start letting the doctor know, look, I think my child may be experiencing puberty. You know, do you have the book? They have books of the male body and the female body. And in those books, they talk about the body parts. They don't say no, pee pee and woo woo in them books. They tell us what those body parts are and where they are on the body.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Queen. It's important. I have a son, and he is now 30 years old. At age 8, he was able to break down the physiology of the body, in particular, the female and the male reproductive system. Absolutely. And calling out the names, you know. And in my years of working in the health field, very seldom do I run into brothers and sisters who really have a clear understanding of their reproductive system and how that works. So yes, we must start to teach about the body, not about sex. See, that's how it starts. It starts off wrong. You're teaching them about sex. That this is what you do. What do you mean? This is what the body does. This is how the body operates. This is how the body acts. This is how the body reacts to sensuality and sensitivity and touch, blah, 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 so that the people will clearly understand that this is a physical machine and it works a certain kind of way, and that the other stuff is just activity, you know, that you get involved in using your body. So it's so important, Queen, to continue to do what you're doing. You have our blessings, you have our prayers. And again, every time we have a program, family, we will have Queen on, because the abuse in our community is just outrageous. It's gone overboard. And you Black men, you got to step up, and you Black women, you got to step up. So family, let's give Queen another Black hand. I'm sorry, before we do that, I'm sorry, Caitlin had a question.
Yes.
Thank you again, Queen Afi, for such a wonderful breakdown.
I
wanted to know, where can we find the full 11 warning signs, and then the 106 questions that you mentioned?
Is that on your website?
We know. I will send that to you, Caitlin, personally. Can you just, text me your email, and I will get that information to you. so we can have that out there for the people.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So
Peace and love, Queen Afi. That was a great lesson you gave. I just want to ask if a child has experienced any type of abuse or trauma, do you recommend them getting therapy right at that moment? If they didn't get therapy right at that moment, should they get it now at the age they're at now, or some future date, some future unknown? When is the best time for the therapy and the healing process to start?
excellent. Okay.
I unmute.
Okay, you unmuted. Go right
Now-
ahead, Queen.
Okay, I'm sorry. The process could start, once we start to, figure out, okay, our child have been abused. How are we going to handle this? So some parents go to the pediatrician, some people go to the emergency room. Right then and there, you are assigned a caseworker. Right then and there, you are assigned resources to get the child therapy. So you want to jump right on it as fast as you can with making sure that we're having the child in a safe space to talk about those things that have happened to them. Now, the other thing with childhood abuse into adulthood abuse. So if it happened to you in childhood and you didn't get the help, you need to still get the help, because the brain is still the age. It's still that age of when it happened to you. So if it happened to you at 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, the brain is still that age. It has not grew up. You'll find people that respond who's 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, and respond like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6, 7-year-old when problems and trauma hit them. The other thing about, getting help too is the triggers are real. We don't be knowing what the triggers are. And so we had these outbursts. We seem angry. We're doing things to try to cope with the triggers that we don't even understand, with the platform to which they started. So we gotta start getting the therapy early on. Or if you have not gotten it early on and it has happened to you, you got to get yourself a safe space and start doing your therapeutic healing. Soon as you feel like, it's spiraling out of control, you feel like you're going downhill. Nothing you've tried is work. And let me say this too, lastly, the faith-based community is good. Everybody loves the Lord. I love the Lord. Some of us love our different spiritual environments that we do and all those things. But that's not like getting therapy though. That's different from getting some mental health. Okay, so we want to make sure that we clear about that. A lot of clergy is not trained in mental health. They train in spiritual. We talking about two different things here. Okay, so what I would like is to see more faith-based communities with resources for mental health or for grief support. Because we have a lot of people who are going through grief as well and have not gotten help. A lot of people have lost their mother and fathers early on, or lost your child, and we have not gotten help. COVID, sprung us out of control. Have we gotten help for those things? So two different things, spiritual health and mental health. We must get help for both separately. A lot of times they don't come together. Does that make sense? Did they help somebody? Okay.
Again, a lot of times we've been convinced and misdirected in terms of the kinds of support and help that we should get. And there's a difference, as she stated, between going to a minister and going to someone who's trained with how that mind and how that body functions and emotional responses and so forth. And they're able to really help individuals, So let's give Queen another black round. Thank you so much. And this again is a very, very, very touchy situation. We get ready to bring on my big brother, Jay Winter, in a minute. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the ADS Collective and who we are and what we do. So at this point, I'm going to bring Brother Demetrius on. who will give an explanation of what the collective is all about.
Peace and love, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on today. This is a very special program for a very special set of people. Everyone that is here is meant to be here, is meant to hear this information that is being given by the different elders and scholars on the platform. So we definitely appreciate you all and your time thus far. So the ADS Collective is an organization that started in '98 and was built on a platform to help to enlighten ourselves, our family, and our community. It's imperative and important for us to have a program, an organization, a group of people, educational system, or anything to help us as an individual grow. But it's also important for that individual to then help their family grow and help their community grow, because we all know in the African Center community, we all have to function on collectivism. We have to function on the right to uplift and liberate the minds of our people. And in order for us to do that, it's imperative that we look at ourselves in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. And then from that, we build upon that and into our families and our communities. And it's done in very, very many ways. And this is one of the critical ways that we're doing this now in regards to the Holiday Syndrome program. We had part one last month on the 19th of November. And now today on the 19th of October, and now today on the 19th of November. So it's very imperative that we have these spaces, as Queen Afi was saying, with the safe space for us to express ourselves mentally, but also a space for us to express ourselves scholarly and come together as a group of one mind, one body, one soul, and one spirit. So thank you all. And the ADS Collective is a driving force that's been here in DC and in Maryland and Virginia and Florida and Atlanta and Belize and all over the country, all over the world, in order to help inspire, uplift, and build up the mighty nation that we know to be our own. Peace and love.
Thank you so much. I want to bring Brother Martin Burrows in, another one of our ADS Collective members, to share with you a lot of our contact information. Social platform, Brother Martin.
All right, thank you very much. You can visit the ADS Collective website. I have the ADS Collective website address in the chat, adscollective.org. And if you need to email us, you can email us at adscollective2022@gmail.com. And also want to tell you about the Banner website. We're doing some changes on there, but you can subscribe to our emailing list and you'll be able to receive events, anything that's happening with Banner. So please go to the website. It's BAAANA.org, and that's the Black Acupuncture Advisory Association of North America. So I'll drop those in the chats. Please visit the websites, get the news, be informed, and you always know when we have programs. Thank you very much.
Amen. That's our brother Martin Burrows, member of the DC ADS Collective. We've been buddies for 15 years or more. My next elder, my next big brother that's coming on is someone that I revere, someone who I humbly respect, because of his tenacity. I spoke a little earlier about Baba Bilal, Sunni Ali being an oxen to carry the burden of the people. You just heard from our brother, Dr. Alim Muhammad, who is the medical director for the Nation of Islam, has been carrying that struggle. This brother has been stirring the struggle throughout his entire life. And I'm going to stop right there and allow my brother Ide to bring this brother on.
I would like to introduce, it is my honor of introducing Chief J. Winter Nightwolf, who is an elder in our community, who has dedicated his life to making sure that the conversations that aren't being had in the
That's right.
mainstream make it to the public view, and he goes on the radio, goes on live with all types of people, and make sure that our struggles, the things that we're dealing with in our communities, are not only heard, but he speaks with a fire and a passion about it to bring about reform and change in our communities and with the things that we're facing and dealing with to this day, from our ancient history up until now. So it is my pleasure to welcome the brother Chief J. Winter Nightwood.
All right, how about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Brother Ade, can you hear me or what?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Ade, I thought you were on your way home to Africa.
Way soon.
Okay. And Kokai Patterson.
I love you too.
Yeah, I love you too, bro. We've been knowing each other so long, I forgot how long.
Yeah.
I'm so honored to see both of you and all of the speakers that I've heard over the last half an hour, 45 minutes. And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm just a plain, simple man. And what I try to do is bring the truth. And I really don't care whether they like it or not, but I'm going to tell it like it is. Okay, so, you know, I was fortunate enough 2 weeks ago to be invited to Albuquerque, New Mexico for the Latino Farmers and Ranchers Association's Congreso, or annual meeting. And to my surprise, I was elected to their senior board of directors. Before I get started into what I'm going to say, you know, they have given people that come from South of Texas this lie of a name, Latino. Latin is the language of the Catholic Church that they use to hide all of the wrong things they did to people that came from south of Texas. So in reality, the borders between Texas and the United States and Canada and the United States, those borders were put in to control the movement of people and to control economies. Before the European came over here across the Atlantic Ocean and invaded us and stepped into our pristine waters and bountiful homelands, there were no borders, never were borders. So this whole mess about, you know, people crossing the borders, that's not true. The borders crossed them. Everybody, the majority of the people that I met in Albuquerque, I asked them, what are you? One of them said, I'm not Latino. He says, I'm Lakota and Navajo. I said, okay. I asked another one, I'm Apache. I asked another one, I'm Comanche. These were all the original people of the Western Hemisphere. And there was no such thing as a Latino. So I know I'll probably get some blowback on that, and I don't care. Now we talk about this tragedy that happened to the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere when they came over here. We have had to fight and struggle for over 600 years against the forces and the evilness of these people that originated out of the Caucasus Mountains. When they first got here, there were 112 million of us, indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere. And by the time 1934 rolled around, they had murdered all but 1 million of us. So how the hell do you murder 111 million people over 600 years? We don't have time for me to go into that story tonight because that would take a lot of time and a lot of mental and spiritual energy. You know, the ones that came across the Atlantic Ocean, those are the same ones that tried to destroy our democracy. They had no idea of what democracy was when they came over here until they met the people of Northern New York and New York people of the Six Nations, the Iroquois Confederacy. The Iroquois Confederacy had already established the Great Law of Peace. And if you print the Great Law of Peace out and then print the United States Constitution out and put them side by side, you will find everything that they stole to make their US Constitution. The US Constitution was put together by white men that wore these powdered wigs, these high-heel buckle shoes, and these tight pants. And they put that together for the wealthy white landowners. The only thing in that Constitution was to cover the white gentry. There was no mention of Black people in the US Constitution, no mention of Native people in the US Constitution, no mention of women's rights or anything else. It was designed to house and protect the white gentry. Now let's go a little further up in history. We have always been a people that was accepting of anyone. Did you know that Black people came here over 50,000 years ago? And I'm trying to think of what the name of them were. The Phoenicians. But this white boy would make you believe that the Phoenicians were white ocean going sea merchants. In fact, they were not. These were Black people from Africa that had sailed the high seas. And before they got here, they had established international trade on the high seas. So when they got here, they didn't come here to take anything from anybody, marginalize or just demean anybody. They came here because they had heard rumors of people on the other side of that big body of water, the Atlantic Ocean. And they came here, and some of our people, like the Mohawks and people up north, actually got involved in international trade on the high seas because some of our people traveled with them. I'm going to dispel some lies tonight. This whole thing about Thanksgiving, please give me a break. That was one of the biggest lies they ever told, and every lie they ever told was a big lie. But that was one of the biggest ones. When they sailed over here, I'm going to read you some facts that I put together after I find my glasses because I can't see well anymore. Let's talk about what happened on what they call the first Thanksgiving. Our people, especially people up north, northern New York, the Iroquois people, every morning they taught their kids and everybody else that you get up in the morning and you say this prayer of thanksgiving. Now, we think we know what happened on that so-called first Thanksgiving, how they claimed that the Wampanoag people were invited to this big feast with the English. No. Mm-mm. The story goes the English sailed from England on the Mayflower, landed at Plymouth Rock, and had a good harvest in 1621. So the governor, William Bradford, held a feast to celebrate and invited a group of friendly Native Americans, including the Wampanoag, Chief Massasoit, and they feasted on fowl and deer. Come on, please. They did not land on Plymouth Rock. They shipwrecked on Plymouth Rock. And it was a very, very crazy winter storm, snow and ice. And it was Massasoit's warriors that took their dugouts and canoes and went out there and pulled them out of the water and gave them an opportunity to survive. But did they say thank you? No. That Thanksgiving was the beginning of our National Day of Mourning, the beginning of the end of who we were and who we knew we were. Everything changed. They said, well, did the English find an empty land? No. No, the land was not empty. It was fully occupied. We raised crops, we raised animals, and did everything. But we had the great law of peace that taught us how to live with each other, how to get along with each other. We even had burial ceremonies in that great law of peace, how we treat our women. So everything you heard about that Thanksgiving is nothing but a lie. It's really the history and mythology of the first Thanksgiving. Now, everything that you heard about Thanksgiving, don't believe it. They didn't sit down to turkey, didn't have any turkey. And all of that other stuff that came out of this Thanksgiving lie. But they won't tell you about how they brought their diseases with them. We had no immunity to the common cold. We had no immunity to their venereal diseases. We had no immunity to their smallpox. They gifted my people blankets that were warfare blankets infected with smallpox. They wiped out entire villages and communities with that disease. So if you want to know the truth about it, you need to go beyond what the white man tell you, because everything he tells you is a damn lie. Just last week, we were on the steps of the Supreme Court because we were fighting the Supreme Court, and Clarence Uncle Tom Thomas is writing that decision to get rid of ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, which only states this, that if a child, an Indian child, finds himself without a family or is abused, the act says we need to put that child with a native family in their tribe, if not another tribe, so that they will never forget who they are. They need to know their language. They need to know their customs, their culture, and all of that. And here we go again. And then they got Uncle Tom up there in the Supreme Court, who's doing the white man's bid to get rid of that act. But we're fighting that. We're not going to give up. We're fighting that. Also, last week. I know all of you know, maybe you don't know, Leonard Peltier. Leonard Peltier has been locked up for 48 years for a crime that he did not commit.
Teach, Baba.
Leonard Peltier was 85 miles from the day and the time that crime happened. They accused him of killing 2 FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Reservation because they wanted to get rid of that phony chief up there that was taking advantage of his own people. Well, he was not his people. He was half Indian and half something else. And they got tired of it. He got a lot of money from the government when he became the chief. And what happened? He gave money to his family members and appointed people in his family and his friends. And then he established a goon squad to protect him. And guys like Russell Means, Dennis Banks, John Trudell, Clyde Belcourt, and I give you a whole list of them. They formed the American Indian movement to fight against this oppressive regime. Every one of those members of the founding members of the American Indian movement, I knew them personally. Clyde Belcourt just died this year. Clyde Belcourt has been to my house. He's eaten in my house. Dennis Banks, same situation. Russell Means, I never got a chance to get him to my house, but I helped him with something he was trying to do in DC. All of those people, I knew them personally. And then you got other folks that really, really decided to come from different tribes from all over these United Snakes and join in with AIM to defend the people of Pine Ridge. And we call it the takeover of Wounded Knee. Okay, what happened to me? Okay. So we have a very rich history here on our land. This is our land. Everything that they got when they got here, they murdered for it, they stole it from us, and claimed it to be theirs. But I think the tide is beginning to turn because people are just not going to take that mess anymore. Did you know 50,000 years ago when the Phoenicians first came here, the first Black people came here? That was when Indian blood and Black blood mixed. So when I look at you as my brother or my sister. Because even when Minister Farrakhan asked me to come and speak at the commemoration of the Million Man March, I brought a lot of Indian people with me. And then the next day he flew me to Chicago to address the entire Nation of Islam on their international telecast. And lo and behold, I met some of the members of the Nation of Islam. There were Indians, there were Latinos, you know. So to me, it's not about the color of your skin or the color of your eyes or the texture of your hair or the clothes you wear or your culture, your tradition, or whoever that deity that you pray to and call God. It's not about that. It's how you treat my heart. That's how I see you. There's so much that I can tell you about our culture tonight, but I know that time is limited. And one thing I gotta say to my brother Kokai, bro, you know I love you, man, for a very long time. You're my good friend.
9 more minutes.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing me on tonight. I really appreciate it. To give me an opportunity to run my mouth a little more. we have got to learn as a people to study history, to show yourself approved so that you'll know the truth and to dismiss this white man's lies. They try.
Brother Jay, let me ask a quick question, brother. How do we, as we've been doing, I shouldn't say how do we, but how do we continue and how do we increase the working relationships between our Black, brown, and red brothers? How do we increase that to get through all of this nonsense and all the confusion and misinformation, that pitted us against one another? What are some of the things that we can do to work on bringing that? Because I've dedicated next year to solidarity. That's what we're going to be working on.
Well, one thing to do is to ignore those so-called full-blood Indians that have a tendency to judge people because of the colorization of their skin. I had a big argument with this chief of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma about when I was still at that radio station. And he was actually taking money from the casino down there to kick all the Cherokee freedmen out of the tribe, only because they had Black blood. But he didn't mention anything about all the white blood he had. We have to ignore those kind of people. And whenever we know it's a lie that they're telling, get in their faces and tell them like it is, tell them the truth, because I ain't got a problem telling you how I feel about your BS, The other thing is when you hear about ceremonies and us showing up for our causes in Washington, D.C., come and join us. We don't have a problem with that. I just want to say one thing about some of my sisters and brothers. I'm so thankful for that sister in New York that has been on Donald Duck's case. I think you know what I'm talking about, right? Looks like he's getting ready to go down. And then Merrick Garland had the intestinal fortitude to appoint somebody to investigate his taxes and investigate all of his wrongdoings. They were just waiting for a messiah for their white racism. And guess what? Donald Trump showed up. We have a lot of things going on at the National Museum of the American Indian that you all are welcome to be a part of. And anybody got a problem with that, you tell them I invited you. I'm a charter member of that. Also, whenever I hear of something happening in the Black community, I'll try to be there to help out. And I have a very good friend in Minneapolis, Minnesota. His name is Spike Moss. Spike Moss has been a freedom fighter since the early 1960s, and him and Clyde Belcourt were best friends. When anything ever happened in the Native community, he would call Spike, and Spike would show up with Black Panthers and Black everything. When there was something going on in the Native community, he would call Clyde, and Clyde would show up with AIM and a whole bunch of Native warriors to settle it without having the white man to call the white man to do anything. So, we are brothers and sisters, whether you know it or not. And we need to work together. And Kokai, I'm gonna tell you, you need to invite Spike Moss to this broadcast. That man will blow your mind.
Yes, sir.
He's working in the community to stop the violence, even if he has to go out there and put his hands up to stop it. And you really need to, I will call you and give you his number. You need to talk to Spike.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chief J. Winter Nightwolf, and I'm looking forward to talking with
Spike Moss. So thank you so much, all of you. I appreciate the time that we had. And can I say one more thing? Hello? Can I say one more thing? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. You can hear me every Sunday night from 6 to 8 on WOL 1450 FM AM. And every Wednesday night, you can even go and watch my television broadcast now. I'm on YouTube every Wednesday night from 7 to 8. Just go to YouTube and type in Jay Winter Nightwolf Live, and you can see all my past shows. Kokai, I can't wait to see you again, man. I need a Kokai hug, bro.
Look, I need a Jay Winter hug. So let's share it. I love you, Baba. Thank you again. Everybody give brother another hand, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful night. We're going to close out with these next two presentations. This young lady this young sister who is about to come and share some of her artistry before we bring on another one of my brother warriors, Shechem Teprahim Sa, to close our program out this evening. Sister Samaya is a poet, an artist, a spoken word artist. I also feel that she has a strong spiritual tie to our ancestors. And I don't feel, I know she has a very, very strong spiritual tie to our ancestors. And I know that they are speaking through her. So every time we have a program, and I told her to get used to it, that we will be calling her because I feel that she represents the true consciousness of Black people. I feel that she has picked up the baton from a lot of the other Black revolutionary sisters and elder sisters in our community. And I tell her all the time that she represents me and she represents us so well in the Black community. I'm so proud of her and I love her dearly. Please, family, let's welcome one of my daughters, Samaya, the poet.
Thank you, Baba. Can everyone hear me fine?
Can't hear.
Yeah. You can hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Baba. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be invited. And thank you, Baba, for appreciating, what I'm looking to give to the community. My name is Sumaya. I've been doing poetry for many, many years and doing a lot of other healing work in the community. So I'm very honored to be here and take part of this program. Today, I will do maybe a couple pieces and sort of mesh them all together. But definitely, while listening to my poetry, I like to advise people to close their eyes, to do some breathing before taking in the message, but really just focusing on the words and the energy that's coming behind the words. Just the message that I'm looking to give. So I'll begin. First off, I wrote this piece for Baba Kokai for his born day, and I missed his born day party. It's the incomplete piece, but I wanted to just share the words. I don't have the music with me, but I just wanted to share it with him because he hasn't got to hear it yet. But it's called Hood Doctor. As we all know him as the Hood Doctor. So it goes, he's the Hood Doctor, practically a martyr, living for the people, son, mothers, daughters, doing acupuncture with the silver needles, healing one by one, the people need him. He's the Hood Doctor, practically a martyr, living for the people, son, mothers, daughters, doing acupuncture with the silver needles, healing one by one, the people need him. He's the Hood Doctor, doctor, he's the Hood Doctor, practically a martyr, practically a martyr. He's the Hood Doctor, practically a martyr, living for the people, son, mothers, daughters, doing acupuncture with the silver needles, healing one by one, the people need him. He's the Hood Doctor, practically a martyr, living for the people, son, mothers, daughters, doing acupuncture with the silver needles, healing one by one, the people need him. To be continued, Baba. All right. To be continued, Baba. To be continued, Baba. I said I'm gonna have to record that one. That's gonna be your anthem song. And you should hear the beat. The beat is this nice hip hop, but that rhythm that I wrote over it. But soon come.
I'm ready. Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Love you too. This next piece is called Critical. I question how long will I live? I was raised not to trust the pigs. The pigs, gunning, lynching, taking us out, feeding us GMO foods, raping us out. Nothing is real in their reality. Got me hesitant to eat a fresh apple from the tree. Adam and Eve apparently could not see the falsehood truth of what was hidden beneath. No longer comfortable in the shower. The water is not clean. It comes from the sewer. Know what I mean? People drawing on faces. We need to learn how to embrace us. Quit looking to be famous. All they care to do is blame us for anything. They've gotten too used to pulling us by their own strings. Wake up, Black people. Put down the chicken wings, soda and chips, eating the high cholesterol dips, filtering your mind with poison, smoking cigarettes equivalent to a child that plays with toys, and all it does is blacken your lungs. Black is something you already have. No need to step backwards to own what you already have. It's a silent war, more deadly than guns and knives, bombs that strive to take out nations. Black men growing to be gay sons of loving mothers, and to my brothers behind the bars, cage, full of rage, silenced. African nation, wake up. We are suffering, wake up. We are suffering, wake up. We are the strength. To my sisters, put down the cups. Heal the children of our nation. You hold the essence of creation. Between those brown thighs, laying with multiple men off the high, green smoke. Spending money on foolishness until your pockets go broke. Who will heal this coming generation? This is not about patience. Silent war, silent deaths. This is critical. This last piece, it's a song that I wrote called Unity. I may not do the full song, but I may just do a freestyle version of the song. All my African people, so great, so full of life. All my African people, let's strive. All my African people, so great, so full of life. All my African people, it's time to think about your health, wealth, no alcohol and drugs. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop. Unity, South Africa. Unity, Senegal, Gambia. Unity, Ghana, Nigeria. Unity, Trinidad and Grenada. Unity, Barbados, Jamaica. Unity, Cuba, Dominica. All my African people, so great, so full of life. All my African people, let's strive. All my African people, so great, so full of life. All my African people, it's time to think about your health, wealth, no alcohol and drugs. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop. Unity, unity, unity. in the community. Oh, I said unity, unity, unity in the community. Yay. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop, stop, we are one. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop the violence, we are one. Stop, stop, we are one. Unity, unity, unity in the community. Hey, hey. Unity, unity, unity in the community. Hey, hey. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sis.
A nice round black, dark black, charcoal black, you know, deep black, blue black hand.
Thank you.
I told y'all she was a bad lady. She's a bad lady. Thank you, daughter, so
Thank
much,
you.
as always, for the conscious, spiritual, loving, godly words, communal words, family, black words that you shared. Thank you.
Ashe.
All right.
Thank you, Baba.
Yes, yes. All right, family. We got, you know, the closeout period here. This brother that's coming on, I asked him to speak about some specific things today. And he's going to share a lot with you all. And, you know, I know that he had some things to throw up on the screen. So I'm excited as what he's going to share with us today. But it's important for you guys to take out your pencils and your paper and, you know, your telephone and go to notes and begin to take notes when this brother speaks, as he's going to be talking about, you know, all the interconnections around environment and health and, you know, all of those things and nature and, you know, all of those. But he is my herbalist and he prepares formulas for me for years and years. He's again one of my best friends. We've known each other for many decades, and his work in our community has, you know, it's again been life-saving work in our community, all of the people's lives that he's touched. And his work again is based in our tradition. His work is based in spirituality. His work is based on love, you know, and taking care of himself, his family, and our community, in the larger community. I am always honored to have this brother in my presence and doing his work. He's one of the most humblest warriors that I know. And as long as he's fighting, I'm going to stand right beside him and fight with him. So family, please welcome one of my bestest friends, my brother, Shechem Teprahim Sa.
Peace and blessing, family. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. Peace and blessings. I'm sitting here and I got on a little late. I got on around about maybe 6:40. And I've literally been glued to the seat from the time I was sitting here until this young lady, Sister Samaya, finished her presentation. And I literally, when she said, close your eyes, you know, I mean, I literally did that. And literally, if I had a choice, I wouldn't do this presentation because everything that I heard tonight has made me so full, had made me so proud and so convicted and so reassuring of us, you know, that is, I could literally say, okay, well, the program could end here. And I would be totally content because what was shared in so many different ways, right? is a testimony to who we are as African people. And what I have is going to be humble. It's going to be just a smidgen as to what needs to be said here. Kakai, I could give you my accolades all day long, but the time is late, so I'm not going to do that. You know, I mean, we just got it like this, right?
Going on, bro.
You know, and I want to really commend you and your ADS and the ADS collective, our collective, right? All the young people that you have on this presentation, you know, the people that you had shared different aspects of the presentation, right? The fact that they're here, right? There's something very appreciative and very humbling for elders, and I'm 71 years old, so I'm an elder, right? To be able to see that wave of young people coming behind us and their seriousness and their commitment, right? And they have this many young people being involved in this struggle in a very serious way, organized around your organization, is a serious reflection in terms of your character, in terms of your dedication and your sacrifice. So I have to say, I acknowledge you, but I really also want to acknowledge those young people because I'm very appreciative of them being there and what they're doing and how they understand. Can you hear me? Am I coming across clearly?
Yes.
And how they have chosen to see the value of their work and cultivate their persons, their spirituality, you know, their health, you know, their mental aspect to continue this. And I'm very, very thankful for that. So to them, I want to say, Asante very much to those young people.
I'll mute this one and turn that one on. So,
and to Sister Samaya, you should always have that sister on, man. You should always have this because I mean she is a artistic message to what we really need, and I was very, very full in terms of what she presented. So it kind of really everyone. I mean, you know, from Dr. Alim Muhammad, from Dr. Atula Shakur. I mean, Mama Queen Afi, people